is a very different type of game that you don't normally see on like Kickstarter, especially with kind of like a lot of the Pathfinders and the Dungeons and Dragons and all sorts of stuff that are very much focused on like combat and all that other stuff. What did you guys kind of think about when you were first kind of jumping into like this new, I want to say, genre of role-playing games and posting it on Kickstarter?
Yeah, look, I think while the romance genre could definitely stand to be explored more in role-playing games, we definitely weren't the first ones to go there. There's Emily Careboss's fantastic romance trilogy, and there's a few other games around with that leaning. I think we were just following the kind of story that interests us, and that basically my philosophy is always make the game that you want to play, because inevitably you end up playing it so many times. Like I have played more than 100 games in this society. I can't imagine making a game I didn't like. It would be absolute torture.
Other than Good Society, what's like your top 2 favorite role-playing games that kind of guides you whenever you create or just think about games?
Wow, I don't think I could name my top 2 games in that. Role-playing games are so different, and each game sets out to achieve a different purpose. And for me, I think the games that inspire me are because they have such a tightly interwoven connection between their purpose and the gameplay. So there's a fantastic game called Alienor, which I always plug when someone asks me this question, which is about, it's historical, but it's not kind of like Good Society. It's about Queen Alienor and her ladies in waiting. And the thing I love about that game is that the mechanics of the game are perfect to tell that really close, intimate story about those 4 ladies in waiting and the queen. And I don't think, like, there's probably not that much in it that would be applicable to a game about like the mafia or fighting in a war or running through a storm, but it's a fantastic game at doing what it does. It's a game that always inspires me for that reason.
I feel like that's very true in that when we do look at our work on each of our games, there is definitely a research phase where we actually look into games that we feel will be a good inspiration for what we're trying to achieve in that game. So I think it's always very variable. Like we're working on a sports anime role-playing game, and we've been looking a lot at masks.
What's it? I saw a picture of it the other day.
Yeah, Fight with Spirit.
Yeah.
It's been really fun, but like we're looking a lot at masks for that, because it's got the teenagers and the feelings, and we want to see like a good way to pull from that into that game.
I love that. So you cover a lot of different themes and genres in your current library of games on your website, storybrewersroleplaying.com, by the way. Mitch, can you put that in the chat?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thanks. What's been the most challenging game for you to research?
Challenging game to research.
Yeah.
There's there's 2 aspects I would just say. One that has been really difficult from a like research sit in a library point of view is we're writing this game at the moment called Village Song, which is based in like medieval times, but in like sort of Southeast Asia, around Indonesia, where I'm from. But it's very like, I don't want to, there's a lot of like historical research. So that's just like, depending on the theme you pick, there's more like research that you actually have to do, but a time and a place, and an understanding of that context. But in terms of like designing research, like what I was talking about before, Fight with Spirit has actually been incredibly difficult nuts to crack in terms of what our vision for that game is, which is like all of the sports and like teammates and mateship, but also like the struggles of a teenage coming of age type thing, and like that nuts in the way that you're working together as a group, but you have this interpersonal relationship in a has been kind of like, and also we want to make it sports agnostic. so you can do whatever sport you want. All of those factors have made it very, very hard to find exactly how to do the game, how the game works. And so we've had like 4 or 5 versions that we've like wholesale thrown out and started again.
We're on version 7 now. I'm pretty happy with version 7, but it's been a long journey to get there.
Versions like 3 to 5 was a dark time. We've come through the other end.
Yes, we have. And surprisingly, there's lots of games about teenagers, but there aren't that many games about sport.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty like it's something I think we've steered away from.
Yeah, we really had to try several different approaches to that, and I think the one that we're currently rolling with has a lot of promise, but we did have a lot of interesting experiences along the way.
So you have the pre-order for the new kind of Good Society expansion coming out, but what else is kind of on the horizon for Storybrewers? I mean, you guys got that lovely game with the sports and everything. Is that going to be on Kickstarter? What else is on the docket?
Yeah. Look straight into the distance.
Yeah.
So Fight with Spirit, which is the sports anime game, should be on Kickstarter late this year, probably September or October.
I was gonna say, it's been really fun working on Expanded Acquaintance. This past year we've been doing. So to take a step back, Good Society Expanded Acquaintance is the expansion of original Good Society, which adds various crossovers to your Jane Austen game, which has been very fun to write for. So there's like one that's magic, one that adds sort of like swords and swordsmanship is sensibility and swordsmanship is like a Zorro-esque masked caper, plus Regency. So that's really fun. That's being released in May.
So we're still through
the tail end of that. And we'll see. We have so many other plans for the years ahead, but they are like not formulated yet. They are what we talk about
they are seedlings,
like little seeds that are just I don't know. They're seeds. They've got potential, but we don't know which will crop out. Which is usually how it works for us. We have like the two, the thing we're working on, the thing that's coming up, and then just
the unknown.
Just this field that we are watering and gets a lot of sun.
Yeah.
We call that winter sown up here, where we start growing the seeds in mini greenhouses, and then once the earth is thawed enough where we can dig it up, we actually plant those seedlings that have already started to sprout. It's pretty cool.
That is very cool. I've never lived in a country or a place that actually had like a winter or a snow. New concepts for me.
Yeah.
We've got to get it, but maybe one day.
So you also have a couple of other beautiful designs for Alas for the Awful Sea. The artwork alone, I'm guessing this is about Selkie lore.
Yeah, so Alas for the Awful Sea is a game of myth, mystery, and crime set in the 19th century rural UK. And what we did with that game is really try to blend the history and the actual struggles that people in that area faced at that time, the politics and the poverty, with the folklore of that area as well. So Selkies is very much a part of that. Because, as I'm sure you guys know, folklore is a way of expressing a collective emotion, thought, situation. So so by bringing that to life, it sort of casts another light on the historical aspect. And that's a Powered by the Apocalypse game, which Good Society is not.
And then you have the Fight with Spirit that you were talking about. Is this a GM-less game?
Fight with Spirit is not going to be a GM-less game. It's probably going to be similar to Good Society. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to play that yet, but the way the Good Society
we're doing it tomorrow.
Playing it tomorrow.
Awesome. You have a facilitator in Good Society, so they're not your traditional GM. They don't control the story. They don't create the story. They don't have to prepare any story ahead of time or anything like that. It's literally just about putting together a combination of play materials to start the game. And so while the facilitator is an important role because they take on important responsibilities like making sure everyone knows the rules, helping people feel comfortable at the table, timing, sharing the spotlight, all of those kinds of things. They don't actually have to worry about making up a story or anything like that, or guiding the story. Fight with Spirit is going to be very similar in that regard. So there will be somebody who helps out with all that stuff, but they don't need to make up a story or come in with prep.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably reflects a certain play style that we ourselves, as people constantly running our own games.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so what do you guys do for like conventions and stuff like that, and you have different people running your games? Is it just kind of a guide you provide about, these are the tips and tricks? Is there certain settings you guys explore?
We do have, like, for Good Society, a dedicated video that V put together about running
a one-shot. But I think it's on our YouTube channel, of running a one-shot Good Society. And I must have been doing well that day because I watch it myself right before I go to a convention. I'm like, great job, past V. Now I know how to do this again.
Good job.
Because I invariably forget every time. And so that's been a really great resource. We usually run a lot of our games in conventions here, but we've got a couple of people as well who have in the Australian convention. But we don't really often make it to the States for the big ones.
One day we'll have Jane Austen here.
Someday. And until then, we will run it on our stream and then take it to conventions, because that's what I do.
So going to conventions and everything like that, and kind of having people that you've probably never met before, like, say, like, I love your game and stuff like that. How has that been so far?
Pretty surreal. Like V said, we really only have one big convention that we go to here, and we pretty much ran back to back Good Society through the entire convention. But it's really great to play with people that you've never had a chance to play with before. I really love playing with new people and getting their input and ideas and experiences at the table. And so that's kind of like a really awesome aspect of it that I always look forward to.
Yeah, and it's very gratifying as a designer to see people really enjoy elements of the game that you've particularly designed for that experience. Like they actually having that experience is always really gratifying. Of course, it's also really great to see like where it goes. Not wrong, but like where it goes surprising.
Where it goes surprising. That's cute.
That's also very educational for us. But it's just really nice to spend time and play with people. I think that's why we got into like gaming, board gaming, and role playing. It's always like a very social activity, as opposed to video gaming, which can be sometimes is not that social.
Definitely. So when you were first designing, and probably like even now, there are some concepts and things that you're like, I want someone to have thought about this, or to have felt this during this game. What are kind of those concepts and thoughts that you generally want for a Good Society?
Consent was really important to us. So Good Society is entirely a game about your characters and what happens to them, and it doesn't have any dice in it. And we really wanted people to, because obviously people are very invested in their characters, and we really want people to have control over their characters' future and what happens to them. But we also want other people to feel empowered to make drama and to make scandal and to push against those characters. Good Society is really about the push and pull between the characters. And so I think like having people feel comfortable and in control, and that consent was something that was really foremost in our minds when we created Good Society.
Really, the seed in that game is definitely like, you are a group of players who are collaboratively telling your own Jane Austen novel together. But you also, in a role-playing game, in this context as well, in Good Society, you have your own character, and you're coming from that perspective into the story. And so you're kind of batting for yourself, but also you're telling a collaborative story. And that's what Hayley was talking about, pushing for as well. Yeah, so that's definitely been a very, very important part of Good Society. And the fun part has been just like bringing that emotionality and that drama into a game has always been very, it's something that we both really are passionate about. A lot of our games do have this emotional undercurrent. And that's been really fun. Because Good Society can be played as a farce or as like a drama. I think we both personally lean towards the drama tone. But it definitely can be farcical and humorous and funny and ascend up in that way. But I do really also enjoy having that conduit. The feels for that game.
So I know I asked you this before we started streaming. I'm giving you some time to think about it. Do you have a favorite Jane Austen story?
So my favorite Jane Austen novel is still Pride and Prejudice. It was the first Jane Austen novel I read, and I was like, this is pretty good, but I'm sure it won't be my favorite one once I've read all the other ones. Then I read them, and I was like, no, Pride and Prejudice. Number one.
The OG. No. I don't know if I have a favorite story. I'm partial to Emma because it's just, I gravitate towards the silliness.
You're like, no, Emma, why?
Yeah,
it's like secondhand embarrassment for an entire.
It's very perverse of me, but I do enjoy that. But for the movie version, I really love. I was saying I like Love and Friendship a lot.
Which is an adaptation of Ladies.
Yeah, it's a lot. It just always makes me laugh so much.
Very, very good.
We've been play testing our last game that's going to be in that expanded acquaintance compilation, which is Lady Susan, P.I., which is the murder mystery expansion.
I want that right now.
Yeah,
in my hands.
It's very silly.
That one is actually,
that one is meant to be silly.
It's meant to be farcical and silly, and that has been great for bringing the character of somewhat inspired by Lady Susan in that movie, crossed with a
lady detective
kind of. It's very funny.
I love it.
It's bizarre genre mashup, basically.
So, Hayley, given your love of cheeses, are you gonna do a cheese role-playing game?
Look,
it's more of a laugh.
More of a laugh. Very good. Can't beat that. I can't top that answer.
I mean, it's a thing.
How do you feel about Brie?
It's a great place in Middle Earth, in between all the other places in the Shire.
No. Brie's my favorite cheese.
Like the smellier it is, the better.
Yeah.
Nope.
So
nope.
Tomorrow I'm gonna be running Good Society. Super excited with guests from the Penny for a Tale show, as well as Hjalmar from
Red Moon.
There you go, Red Moon role playing, which is going to be super exciting. Do you have any tips, hints, strategies, cheat codes, etc., for me?
Okay. 4 players, was it? Yeah. Do you have any that you want to lead off with?
Well, V has a great video.
Go search for
video.
past V.
It's on their website. Just go on the website on the Good Society page, and it's right there.
Blam.
Let's see. My tip is
encourage the character drama. Good Society is all about character drama. Put people in awkward situations where they have to deal with each other's personalities, like the characters' personalities.
Yep. And don't underestimate the use of a good nosy parent to do those things.
Oh man.
So like what is the reward for the characters themselves as they're playing? Like if I have not read the rules, so I don't know how it's played.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you create a character in Good Society in the backstory phase, which is like this where you create each of your characters and also the web of relationships, you start the game with a desire and a relationship to another major character. And so your character starts the game in a state of wanting, essentially. Wanting
As
something.
most good stories do.
Exactly. And that can help you work towards an objective in the first act of the game, in the first half of that session or game, if you're playing a longer session, campaigns, maybe for the first half of the whole game. But invariably, because everyone else wants things and everyone else has relationships and you all get to meet each other and then have conversations and do these things, the players themselves will realize that their own character's arc is changing, and maybe they feel differently about that matter in their life, like if they fell in love with another person or whatever it is that comes up in your game. And it's that pull between, like, do I stay with my objective? Like, I guess the second half always seems like the objective was there, but now I have this new situation, and where is my life going? And that's always a more open-ended question. So that's the reward is the good story that you tell. Just your character arc.
And the way you describe it, it's like Marianne in Sense and Sensibility. She thinks she wants Willoughby, but then at the second half of the story, she's like, oh yeah, Colonel Brandon, super nice guy and interested in things I am.
And you're like, that's interesting, but what do I want? And that's like, that's a great moment in this game. There's a mechanic in it called monologue tokens, where other players play this monologue token on you, and you monologue as your character internally. And so it's great for those moments where you're like,
I've always wanted that in every game I've ever had.
You want that in real life.
I do. I just want to, like, if I'm at the grocery store, I'll be like, all right, I'm doing it.
And you'll have like the monologue token above your head, so people don't think you're a complete weirdo.
Exactly. And someone paints on a little mustache, and my hair like whips in the imaginary wind. I have dreams, and those are it. So, like, role players kind of investigating this amazing game and stuff like that. How do you kind of guide them from, I guess, the typical mindset of the general populace of the hobby, who are familiar with more, I guess, fighting focused games, and get into like this drama filled, romance filled game? How do you help with that transition?
I can't lie, there is definitely an element of self-selection. If you hear the words romance, drama, scandal, and you're like,
yes,
no way, then this game is not for you. If you're like, yes, then you're probably going to be like ready to get into the headspace of the game. As well as that, the game has two things which I think really help. The first thing is called the collaboration phase, which you guys will do before your game. And what that is it's just a section of the game where you all sit down together, chat, like answer some questions and chat about the game you're about to have. And the other thing it has is player principles, which sort of help to guide you throughout the game. If you're not sure what to do, you can just follow your principles, and they're stuff like orchestrate your character's own misfortunes, support other players and the stories that they're telling, and things like that, which just very straight up tell you what you should do.
And I would just add, like, I guess it depends why, like Hayley said, if you aren't into romance, scandal, drama, this game's not for you. But I was going to say, my point is, I think there's a lot more people who are, like, the drama element specifically, a lot of D&D players actually are drama llamas, and they would love to do more dramas. But the system is hampering them in that way. That's the area where I feel like the transition wouldn't be as difficult, because you already have that impulse to bring the drama, and you just have a system that allows you to do that. So.
Like every
with a lot of people that had only played D&D previously, and like people really just jump into it. They're like, right, I'm Henry Worthington, I want to get married, let's go. Like.
And you hook them in, and they have to feel feelings, and maybe they'll actually become more eloquent when they're talking to real people. And then we can bring back some of those lovely turns of phrases from the Edwardian period.
I mean, I already plan to have like two little coattails, so.
I'll put on a gown for this thing. I'll even put my contacts on.
We are gonna dress up. It's gonna be amazing.
I'm
It's gonna
so
be great.
excited for you. I'm very excited for you.
So before we go, we were talking before the stream about games that you enjoy playing. Tell me about Visigoths and Molgoths.
Yeah, so absolutely. So this was one of the games that I'm doing the graphic design for it, but I was letting Spencer know about it because it's a very humorous zany adventure where the premise is Visigoths have arrived in modern day 1996 because some unsuspecting Molgoth accidentally summoned them or played with an Ouija board in the wrong way. And so now the Visigoths and the Molgoths, I'm not saying Molgoths.
It's okay. You'll get the American accent at some point.
The Molgoths.
Mol.
Well, they are fighting to see who will gain control of the mall. And yeah, it's kind of like this one-shot experience that is in between, like when you in D&D when you arrive at a town and you go shopping at different shops, but also fighting off the other group. That's been very, very fun.
And Hayley, you said that you were doing a lot of one-shots as well.
Yeah, what have been your favorite so far?
Well, did I mention Aelinor? This great game.
I think that's been mentioned maybe once or twice on the show. I don't trying to remember.
It's always hard to conjure them into my mind. But we played actually Lucy and Khan's other game, Dead Friend, a while ago, which was great.
Okay.
We played The King is Dead by Vincent Baker, which was very fun, and funnily enough helped inspire Fight with Spirit. Wouldn't necessarily see the crossover there, but
that's a very fun design.
Yeah, it's a really interesting
It's an interesting game. If you haven't played it yet, I would recommend it.
All these games I need to play.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yes,
And-
it's
Well,
always
I mean,
that
I'm gonna
way.
put them on my one-page one-shot list because I do a one-shot once a month. So if you want to come back for that, I'll run an early game for y'all. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, because I love the Storybrewers mentorships program that you guys have on your website. And for people watching, I want you kind of just to pitch the idea of it and see if anyone else like wants to apply and such.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, right. We pitch it.
Yeah, not me. Sorry.
Yeah, we're trialing this just like it's just a way for us to share some of our tips and tricks and how we work, or and also to help people have someone to like check in with. Accountability buddies always helps. If you're kind of designing in a silo, it can be really difficult. So we run just like it's really low-key casual. If you're interested, if you're designing something and you're wanting someone to talk through it with you, to like go through the process and the steps with you, we can suggest what we do, or we can work together to work out what you do. Normally how it is we just meet every 2 months, or I forget how much
2
we
months.
say.
Yes,
2
2
months
months for a 3-hour workshop.
But yeah, I mean, depending on your availabilities, for a 3-hour workshop, and then we like go through what you've done in the last 2 months together and set goals for the next meeting, talk about any problems you might be having, point you towards resources. Yeah, so just like it's sort of what we do for each other anyway, and so we thought it would be helpful to have this be available for anyone who feels like they need someone on that design journey with them.
I'm really enjoying it so far, and hopefully
Yeah.
it's been helpful to
The person who we've been working with.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's good to hear because you know, the industry is kind of, this is like a new era for it with Kickstarter, and you know, everyone's starting to get more into different types of games and such, and there's a lot of developers out there who I'm sure would definitely love this. So people who are interested, it's storybrewersroleplaying.com/mentorships, and I'll also be on the details of YouTube, as well as I'll post it on the chat for people to check out.
Yeah, we're really happy. Like, you don't need to have a fully fledged idea either. Yeah.
Just a willingness to make a game.
Yeah, just commitment.
Okay. I think that's where we leave it, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks so much for talking to us today.
Well, thank you so much for making the time for us all the way across the world.
Pleasure.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so if you are watching us live in the chat, come back at in 1 hour and 10 minutes. We will be doing another interview with
Logan Bonner, lead designer for Pathfinder.
Thank you.
So definitely check that out.
And so thank you both so much for being with us. Again, you can find all of their fantastic games at storybrewersroleplaying.com. And tomorrow we will be playing Good Society. It's gonna be amazing.
I'm gonna put on my costume.
It sounds like it already is.
All right. Well, so I'm Spence. That's Mitchell. Those are V and Hayley. I'm pointing based on what I see in the Zoom. I don't know where we are in there.
They're above us.
Okay,
in the triangle.
All right.
So again,
Thanks
we
so
will see you
much.
soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and see you guys later.
See ya.